getting international job or making international career moves. Couple of questions. Number one, who gets the opportunity? Chartered accountants, ACCAs, masters, bachelors, CIMA, etc. Who gets the opportunity? Second question, do you need the person to be qualified or unqualified? Number three, what domains are available? Be it audit, be it tax, be it corporate finance, risk advisory, financial advisory. What domains are available for the job? And number four is which countries: UK, US, Canada, Australia, Middle East, Saudi, etc. So these are the four questions I'll be briefly touching upon in this video. This video is basically relevant for chartered accountants, ACCAs, CIMA, etc. Anybody who is in the accounting, finance, tax, all these kind of affairs, working with the firms in this space. So let's talk about number one thing: who gets the opportunity. So see, the opportunity differs across different service lines. Talk about service lines. The hiring that's typically done in a lot of firms, a lot of industry around the world is in audit. Like audit is there in each country. You have the tax, each country pretty much, deal advisory, corporate advisory, risk advisory, transactions, etc. Everything is there. The requirements differ for each area. Let's talk about audit and then let's talk about all other questions within this umbrella, right? So for audit, I have seen people going into pretty much every country, whoever is able to sponsor. So in major countries, I have seen people going out UK, USA nowadays, Canada nowadays, Australia also, UAE quite dominant, Saudi, Oman, Qatar. These are some major countries. And we got people in Singapore, Malaysia, and then there are people in Bermuda, Cayman, Bahamas, all these islands, and then there are people in the Jersey Island as well, and then there are some other locations as well. So people are moving across like Netherlands, in a lot of countries. So how they are moving, there's a question, right? So most of the people that move in the audit are typically chartered accountants, be it Icap, be it ICI, be it ICW, be it anything else, or ACCAs mostly. So those people are mostly qualified from a body of accountancy which is widely recognized in the world. And believe me, all Icap, ICI, even Bangladeshi body are quite recognized in the world. And people move on that basis. So qualification from any of these recognized body or ACCA, and then you are able to make a move very easily. Not very easily, you need experience, of course, from big four firms or top firms where your experience counts, but that's a requirement, a qualification requirement is there. Now, the question I had, and the question I had was, are unqualified candidates able to make a move? So the answer is yes. For some countries, like in Middle East, I see a lot of unqualified candidates going without any bachelor's or anything. They don't have anything at all, just part qualification. I have seen some people coming to UK as well, the qualification, but very minimal cases, right? Like out of 100, maybe a couple of them, like 2 or 3 out of 100 qualified people coming in. There are 2, 3, 4 max unqualified candidates coming in, and those with high level experience. Similarly, for some other countries like US, I have seen people going as unqualified, but they got a bachelor's. It's a requirement in US. You need to have something for you to be eligible for CPA. Similarly for Canada as well. So yes, requirements differ. Qualification is preference, but if you're bachelor's, you can apply to certain countries without qualification as well. Like you got experience, you got part qualification, and you got bachelor's, good to go for some countries. So this is mostly the auditing field, and the opportunities are for accountants, chartered accountants, ACCA, even some people who are like graduates, masters, graduates, post graduation, and have some audit experience. There are opportunities for you guys as well. Now talking about the other bit, which is the risk advisory, is the second biggest probably umbrella in terms of the work or the scope. Is risk advisory a lot of parts, which has like business risk advisory, which is a financial risk advisory, which is basically your cyber or maybe IT risk advisory. There are many more elements to it, right? There are jobs in these areas, and these are not limited to chartered accountants, ACCAs, or anybody like this, right? It's a very wide area. There are people in the CISA, there are people in the CMA, chartered accountants, ACCAs, graduates, etc. Everybody are eligible for this because they don't need to sign audit reports, right? So there are a lot of people, there's a lot of competition, but there are of course a lot of jobs as well everywhere in the world. Not as high turnover kind of from our country to here in UK, but there's still, as I guess, audit, but still there are some jobs and people do come in the risk advisory space as well. And I have seen a lot of people recently coming in with the high number of jobs in the country. So what people really look like auditing is fine, right? You got experience, similar experience of audit, and you moved in similar in risk advisory. If you got some specific skill set, then you are welcome to move. If you have experience with the skills relevant for the job, you get sponsored as well. But there's a high competition, both from local market, both from different types of profession that are kind of applying for these jobs. But there are definitely chances, and this applies to UK, Middle East very easily. I've seen a lot of people moving in Middle East. Australia, I have seen people moving in risk advisory into Australia as well. And then there are people moving less in US or Canada in this space. There's a lot of movement in audit space in those countries. Other area is the tax, which is a big one, especially after implementation slash the future implementation of value-added tax or sales tax in some Middle Eastern countries. There are tax rules around the world. As you can understand, the rules differ across the world. Some countries have their own rules. Even if you study ACCA, you just have this kind of basic knowledge, that's the theoretical knowledge of the UK tax system if you're elected for that paper, but you don't know everything. In that case, there's of course knowledge gap because you're practicing in your home country, which is a different tax law as against some other country where you want the job to be. But still, due to the shortage of labor in different countries, there are a lot of opportunities out there in current times for the tax professionals. I've seen very little movement in prior years basically, but current year or last few years there has been a little higher movement of tax professionals across the world. I've seen people coming in UK, basically a Pakistani person coming to UK to do their UK taxes just because they had some back office experience of UK US taxes and not a lot of experience, but just back office experience. I've seen people moving to UAE without any UAE experience, so there are opportunities. You just need to make sure you got the right connections. This is quite relevant for accountants who have been doing their tax, who have been working in the tax for a couple of years. This is relevant for any of the graduates working in the taxation for a couple of years. It doesn't need to be a chartered accountant really, or ACO qualification or ACCA qualification. You just need to be having experience of tax and qualification to get some visa, etc. The next field is basically the financial advisory, which is corporate finance type of work. Basically, it has a lot of decks like M&A, like buy, sell, type of deals, etc. Research. Now, this is quite difficult for you to get into really. Locally, you may get a chance to work with the transaction advisory, etc. But the quantum, the size of market back at home versus what's here is very, very different, right? So if you are talking about things you have done back at home, like any research you have done, your research is very limited like this, and then you compare it with here, their research like this, right? So there's less opportunity because everybody knows that the working in transactions or financial advisory is dependent on the market. So little opportunity you may start from kind of a very beginning here if you're making a move from abroad, but there's not that much opportunities unless you have worked in a high-paced environment, like any big MNC, etc., where you have exposure to these type of things. That's where you might get a chance. What I've seen is a lot of people going from India in the corporate finance or financial advisory space, because those guys tend to work back with the guys here, basically in similar projects, just teaming up, and once they get a chance, they just move over. So I have seen that, but still less number of people coming over as against audit, as against risk advisory, etc. So this is from Europe perspective. I have seen even less people going to US on this. Well, US is kind of a new market really for accountants. There was not a lot of sponsorship being given to accountants in prior years, but this has changed recently. So we might see more people going into corporate finance, less tax / risk advisory space in US as well. And similarly in the Middle East as well, the market is not that dynamic as here, but it's still bigger than, let's say, Pakistan, let's say India, let's say Bangladesh, right? Or maybe some of the African countries, anybody who's watching. So of course chances are there if you worked in similar space and you can get sponsorship. There are some big companies like those deal with the strategy, like McKinsey, etc. Those also deal in the strategic parts. You may get an opportunity if you got the relevant experience. The other areas where typical hirings are done is IT. So there are a lot of jobs in the IT right now. Whole world is saying AI, robotics, whatever, basically Chat GPT. There are of course hirings for a lot of IT professionals, even in the audit space as well. It doesn't need to be a chartered accountant really. It's very hard for chartered accountant to just do a IT internship, IT training, and then do IT career. But there are a lot of professionals like CISA guys or like any other IT professional who can make a career, and there are a lot of good opportunities. I know people coming in UK just based on 2 years experience, the IT field as an associate here in one of the big four firms from abroad. Opportunities are there, you just need to make sure you apply and try to ace the interviews. Of course, sponsorship is provided at all stages for a lot of big companies who hire from abroad. And qualification is of course not necessary in some cases. For some countries it's fine, some countries require bachelor, some countries require a qualified candidate, but qualified of course a priority as against unqualified candidates in any circumstances, right? So this is majorly what I want to communicate in this video. If you find it helpful, do like, subscribe and share my channel. Thanks so much.